Hello and welcome to Learn with Me classes. Hey, I'm back with the second part of units and measurements, which is error analysis. See, errors are inevitable in measurement, whether it be length, mass, time, or whatever quantity you're measuring, they are bound to be having errors. See, the whole universe is imperfect, it keeps on changing, and there will be small errors in all the measurements. But what we can do is try to minimize these errors and manage these errors by including them in our calculations or our assumptions, right? Giving a room for these errors. So that's what we do in error analysis. Since we can't totally avoid errors in our measurement, in any case, we can make it closer to the actual value. I'll give you a very small example. Suppose I have a scale here. Okay, this is a normal 30 centimeter scale. I try to measure the length of my pen using the scale. Okay, so I keep it near the zero and I find it that it comes somewhere around 14.4 centimeter and 14.5 centimeter. Okay, so now it's in between 14.4 and 14.5. So you will tell me, ma'am, it is more closer to 14.5, so let's take it as 14.5. But is it actually true? No, it is not. See, in between 14.4 and 14.5, it can be 14.44, it can be 14.45, it could be 14.46, anywhere. Okay, so now what the scientists did, the scale is not accurate enough, so they devised a new instrument called the vernier calipers. Vernier calipers, they have a lesser least count. Least count, for those of you who don't know what is least count, least count means the least value that you can measure using an instrument. For example, for this scale, what is the least you can measure with it? 0.1 centimeter, which is equal to 1 millimeter, right? Means you can find up to one decimal place, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, like that. But vernier calipers, they have a least count of 0.01 centimeter. Means you can measure it as small as 0.01 centimeter. So I can find up to two decimal places. Means here if I got the length of pen as 14.4 and in between 14.5 centimeter, I can find it up to a more accurate value, suppose 14.44 meters, right? That is the actual value that I got in vernier calipers. But is it true that it should be actually 14.44? Couldn't it be 14.441 or 14.442 or 14.443? So there could be a third decimal place which is not able to be found out using vernier calipers, right? So again the scientists thought and they found out a new device called screw gauge. Screw gauge can measure up to 3 decimal places. Again, if I measured and found out 14.443, there could be a fourth decimal place. So in physics or in the universe, there is no scope of getting the exact or the accurate value for any kind of measurement, not just length but any physical quantity, right? So what you can do is bring it closer to the actual value. So this difference of the measured value means whatever you're getting as a result using the device, so measured value distance from the actual value, from the true value, is called error, or you can say the difference between the measured value to the true value is known as error. Before we move on to more details about error analysis, there are two very important terms that we need to study. First one is accuracy and second is precision. Okay, now what is accuracy? Accuracy means how close are you to the true value. The degree of closeness of the measured value to the true value means the actual value is called accuracy. The second term here is precision. Precision means the resolution or closeness of a series of measurements. Means if you take more than 2-3 measurements using the same instrument, all of them, how close they are to each other. Not necessarily close to the true value, but how close they are to each other. So more they are close to each other, more precise the instrument will be. So all your confusions regarding accuracy and precision will be clear using this example. Four students, Raj, Hema, Rahul and Diya, they perform an experiment where they have to measure the density of aluminium whose true value is 2.7 grams per milliliter. It's not SI unit, but still they have measured it in CGS units, grams per milliliter. Who's more accurate and more precise? Look at Rahul's reading 2.924, 2.925, 923, 926. You will see all these four values, they are close to each other. But are they close to the actual value 2.7? No. So about accuracy, I can say these values are not accurate because they are far away from the true value. So these are not accurate. Are they precise? Yes, they are precise because all these four readings are closer to each other. So they are precise. Coming to Hema's values, all the readings, none of these are close enough to 2.7. So again I can say none of these are accurate. So no accuracy. What about precision? They are not even close to each other. So these are not precise also. So no accuracy and no precision in Hema's readings. Come to Raj's readings or measurements. 2.649, 2.731, 695, 742. All of these are close enough to 2.7. So accuracy is there. All these are closer enough to 2.7. So there is accuracy. But if you compare each other, these four readings, if you compare these four readings, they are not closer to each other, right? There is a huge variation. So that's why I would say there is no precision in these values. Now look at Diya's value. These are perfect. Look at these measurement 2.701, 2.699, 2.702, 2.698. All these four measurements are very close to the actual value, which is 2.7. So it is accurate. What about precision? All these four values are even closer enough to each other, means the resolution is very high. You can look them very closely. So it is precise also. So the last value is most precise and most accurate, and the other results you can see. So errors can be broadly classified into two: systematic errors and random errors. Systematic errors means they are unidirectional, means they will either be positive or they will be negative, and you will get the same type of error for all your readings. But random error can be positive or negative. Systematic error can occur due to an imperfect instrument, faulty technique or incorrect process. Now what is imperfect instrument? Means if there is some problem with your instrument, for example your scale is bent or broken somewhere, or here in this case of balance, if that needle is bent or broken, it will show a different error. Or sometimes you might have seen shopkeepers, to cheat, they keep a magnet under the balance. Okay, so such type of faults in a instrument. Now faulty technique, for example taking temperature using a thermometer. If you keep it under an armpit, it will give you a wrong reading because it is affected, the mercury is affected by the external heat and external conditions. Usually it's preferably kept under the tongue. So such type of faulty technique, if you use a wrong technique to take measurement, that will lead to a systematic error. Coming to personal errors or improper method, for example parallax error. If you see, you have to see the device, see the reading from straight eye view. Your eye should be in the straight line as your scale. If you see from the sides, you will see a different reading. So your reading will be different from different positions. So you should keep your eye at the same level as that of the scale, then only you will get. Now you can eliminate these systematic errors by using a proper instrument and avoiding personal errors or faulty techniques. So this is a way where you can minimize systematic error. Coming to random errors, these can be positive or these can be negative as well. Random errors are bidirectional and every time they may not be same. You might get a different error, sometimes positive or sometimes negative, and they are mainly caused due to sudden unfavorable situations. For example, a voltage fluctuation. If you are doing an Ohm's law or any electrical experiment, if suddenly the main supply changes, or sometimes temperature or atmospheric pressure changes, or there are mechanical vibrations in your instrument, all these, or in a pendulum if there is a wind coming, so all these situations can cause random errors. So, till now from the discussion, we have seen that errors can never be avoided, but we can minimize the errors by taking a large number of measurements and then calculating its arithmetic mean. So, I'll show you how. Suppose a reading, I have taken n readings, A1, A2, A3 till AN. We have taken n number of readings, could be 5, could be 10 number of readings, anything. How to find mean? Denoted by A mean, some books uses x, x1, x2 and all. So we have to find out the sum of each measurement, A1 plus A2 plus A3 till AN, and divide this sum by the total number of measurements, which is n. So in symbols we can write as A mean equal to summation. Now this is sigma, this is the symbol for summation, means you are adding up. If I divided by n, here I means from 1 to n, 1, 2, 3 to n. This is the formula for arithmetic mean. Now sometimes when the true value, actual value we don't know, so we take this arithmetic mean itself as the true value because this is the closest that you can find to the actual value. Now this is something we find out absolute error for each measurement. You have to find for individual measurement. It means that that measurement minus the mean value or the true value that we have just found out. So in general, delta AI equal to AI minus the A mean. We have to take its absolute value, means the magnitude. Whether it is positive or negative, we will always be taking it as positive. That's why this mod sign stands. So for first reading, it becomes delta A1 equal to A1 minus A mean. Like that for second reading, delta A2 equal to A2 minus A mean. It will be more clear when we will actually do the example problem. So like this, for each reading you will find out its arithmetic mean. Finally, for the last one, which is delta AN equal to AN minus A mean. So sometimes for some of the readings you will get it as negative when the reading is greater than the arithmetic mean. But whatever be the case, since we are taking the absolute or magnitude only, it will always be positive. Now next term is mean absolute error. As the name suggests, it is the arithmetic mean of each of these absolute errors. So it is denoted by delta A mean. So simple, you have to add all these absolute errors that we have found out, delta A1 plus delta A2 plus delta A3 till delta AN, and divide by the total number of observations. So summation delta AI by n. How do you denote or express any measurement? We always write any measurement as A mean, which is a true value, plus minus delta A mean. Sometimes in some experiments and all, you might have seen the answer written as 5 plus minus 0.01 centimeter, for example. It means this can extend from 5 minus 0.01 to 5 plus 0.01. It can lie, the actual value can lie. Next term is relative error. This is a very important term as compared as concerned with the experiments and finding out the answers and all. So relative error, it basically means it is a ratio of the absolute error, the absolute mean error to the mean value of the observation. So it is basically the ratio of mean absolute error, means delta A mean divided by the mean value or the true value A mean. So the formula for which is also the actual value. Mean value is the actual value. So formula for relative error is Mean absolute error means delta A mean. So relative error equal to delta A mean. As I told you, in some books they write it as X also, or we can write as A. So divided by divided by A mean. So this is mean absolute value divided by A mean or X mean. So you can use X or A. Please don't get confused from different books. So this is relative error, which is the ratio of delta A mean that we just found out divided by the true value A mean. Another one is percentage error. Percentage error is nothing but multiplying the relative error with 100. So formula percentage error is relative error multiplied with 100. You will get the percentage error, how much percent error is present in the reading. So this will become A mean, delta A mean divided by A mean multiply by 100. Now till here, if you have faced any problem, it will be cleared by this example. Suppose refractive index of some material, say glass, we have found out, and these 6 readings we got. 1.54, 1.53, 1.44, 1.54, 1.56 and 1.45. We will find out all these terms that we discussed right now with these readings. So this becomes our A1, A2, A3, A4, A5 and A6 respectively. Okay, try out this problem along with me. Okay, so first that we are going to find out is arithmetic mean of these readings. So this one is simple. You just have to add all these terms and divide by how many number of observations are there, 6. So arithmetic mean or true value, this also will be the true value for the measurement. So true value will be equal to 1.54 plus 1.53 plus 1.44. So basically you have to add each of the measurements and divide by 6. All these values I will add and divide it by 6 because there are 6 readings in total. So after doing this, the answer that I'll get is 1.51. Okay, so this is the mean of these readings. So this is the closest to the actual refractive index of the material. So this only will take it as the true value or the actual value of refractive index. Now we will find out the next term, which is absolute error for each of these values. For A1, A2 to A6 we have to find out 6 absolute errors, means delta AI. We will be finding out for each of these. So we had found out already the mean value or the actual value as 1.51. So delta A1 becomes 1.54. I'll write down it here for you. The mean value that we had found out was 1.51. So as per the formula, delta A1 is 1.54 minus 1.51, which is 0.03, and this is already positive, so I have not put the modulus symbol. Second reading 1.53 minus 1.51. So basically what you're doing, each value you are subtracting from the actual value 1.51, you are subtracting from each of these individual values. That will give you absolute errors in each of the measurement. Now look at this one, we have got minus 0.07. So we can't have a negative value, we will write it as plus 0.07 because we are concerned only with the magnitude. Same we'll do for delta A4. A4 is 1.54, so 1.54 minus 1.51 is again 0.03 plus 0.03. Delta A5 1.56 minus 1.51. So I want you all to solve along with me, okay? If you want, you can pause the video and then try to solve by yourself using the formula. Write down all the formula at one place and then try to solve it. Now the last also we are doing like this. So we have got absolute error for all of these. Again, this minus becomes positive because we want only magnitude. Now I have written down all the answers that we have got, all the absolute errors once again, so that we can carry on with our calculation easier. So the next thing that we are calculating is mean absolute error, which is nothing but the mean value of all these absolute errors. So mean absolute error. So we have to find out the mean of all these values. So delta A mean, we know the formula equal to summation is 1 I equal to 1 to n delta AI by n. So delta A1 is 0.03, then 0.02 and so on. So all these values we will substitute. 0.03 plus 0.02 plus. So basically we are adding up all the 6 absolute errors, and then we'll divide it by the number of readings, which is 6. I hope you are solving along with me by 6. So the answer comes out to be 0.26 divided by 6, which is equal to 0.04. Yeah, 0.04. So this is our mean absolute error. So we have found out our mean absolute error, which I have written it down for you again so that it will be helpful for our next calculation. So next is relative error. This is very easy. Relative error is ratio of mean absolute error to the actual value, true value, means the arithmetic mean, which is delta A mean absolute error divided by A mean, which is the true value. So both the values are directly there in front of you. Delta A mean is 0.04 and A mean is 1.51. So we just have to divide them. 0.04 divided by 1.51. So this will give us the answer 0.0302. 649. So this will be around 0.03, right? So 0.2649 I'll be approximating as 0.03. This is a relative error. Now coming to the percentage error. Percentage error is nothing but relative error multiplied by your 100. So 0.03 multiplied by 100, which is 3%. So 3% is the percentage error. Now I had told you something about writing the final value of the result. So here the final refractive index can be written as A mean, which is the true value, which we got here as 1.51, plus or minus delta A mean, which is 0.04. So we can write the final refractive index as 1.51 plus or minus 0.04. So it will lie somewhere in this range. Okay, subtracting 0.04 from 1.51 to adding it. So we have reached the end of the video, but before leaving, I'll give you one small homework. It's a very similar question like the one that we have done right now. So try it out by yourself. You can pause the video here and find out the answer, and I'll give you the answer in the next video.